All right, everybody. Today we are going to film a quick clip of how to Plastidip some of the trim on my Kia EV6. So what I wanted to do is walk through what materials I'm going to use. I'll do a quick kind of time-lapse video of the taping process and the painting process in case somebody wants to replicate this as well on their EV6 or really any other car. There's lots of really good resources of how to Plastidip, but just thought I'd film my own just for this specific car. But first things first, we'll start with, on the right, we have the black Plastidip, just a standard matte black Plastidip. And then that's readily available at Walmart, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's. You can get them anywhere. And then what I like to use also is the glossifier. The glossifier will add a little bit more of a sheen, a shine. And it's optional if you want to use it. The more coats you do, the more shiny and glossy it looks. I do plan on using it just because the rest of the car is fairly glossy, so I do plan on using this. Quick tip on glossifier, it's a little bit harder to find, but I found that Lowe's always has it. Home Depot and Walmart don't always have it, so just something that I would recommend as an extra step because it does match the rest of the color. Otherwise this comes out very, very matte finished. The other things that I would recommend, warm water, a bowl of warm water. And the reason for that is Plastidip is very temperamental. You want it to kind of stay around room temperature or even slightly warmer. So especially if it's cold outside, when I go spray, I come back and I just leave it in there and let it float around until it's time to go do the next coat. You need painter's tape. You can use the green tape, that's pretty standard. Or you can use this purple one that's a little bit lower adhesion. I use both. I just happen to have this one. I hope I have enough to do this project. And then just to do a quick wipe down, use the surface cleaner of your own choice. I use Windex and then a clean microfiber cloth. So those are the items that you need. A lot of this stuff is fairly optional, but if you want the best results, I would definitely have at least these two items. The tape you definitely need, and then the Plastidip. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll walk outside and I'll start taping the car off. All right, let's get started. First things first, I'm going to clean this because you can see it's icy and really, really cold out here. I don't really know why I picked today to do this, but I did. So just a light spray of Windex along the chrome area or not chrome, I don't want to call it chrome, silver that I want to wash or black out. So just make sure all the debris is off of it, so that way when you dip it comes out extremely smooth. Cool. So now we're going to get the tape. All right, here's the tape. So basically what I sorry about the mess, still working on my garage here. But what I basically do is I try to get a lot of the harder edges first, and you try not to do, unless you have a really straight area, try not to do too much of a long strip. Now the cool part with this is there's actually like space to put the tape into. It's kind of sprinkling, so when I start spraying I might have to close my garage, which is not ideal, but I can partially close it. Anyway, so here you can see I can actually insert the tape into the little crevice. Makes it a lot easier. So this one I'm going to do a long piece because it looks like a very straight shot across. So basically you hold it tight and maybe it's too long. Let me try to half this up a little bit. Okay, this isn't gonna work. for the most part, everything is taped off, at least around the edges. So I just want to go in there and kind of run my fingernail in, just to make sure that none of the tape is overlapping the metal. And no, I'm not scratching my car, so don't worry about that. Alright, so next step is, I don't think I'll have enough tape, so I think what I'm going to do is I have some tarp. I'm just going to tarp it off so I don't use a lot of tape. Normally I would just, if I had more tape, I would just go all the way across about 6 inches to 8 inches of tape. So I'm going to grab my tarp, I'll be right back. Okay, so I had to get a little creative because I ran out of tape. So I just used some tarp and taped off with the limited tape I had. Now I'm just cleaning up the last little bit of residue on the silver trim, so that way the Plastidip not only adheres well, but also doesn't have any kind of, finishes that don't look very good. Shake it up. I had it in my warm water, so you can see I have everything taped off. So I'm just gonna do very light coats, make sure it's aiming straight. I'm gonna test it out on this box. There you go. So the first coat is gonna be extremely light. Uh-oh, let's see a little. There you go. First coat's gonna be very light. So literally just do this. It's usually recommended to stay about 4 to 6 inches away, just because I'm me. I don't always follow the rules. I go about 2 to 3 inches, about 3 to 4 inches, but just make sure you. So very light coat. You can see that it's still very hazy, or doesn't look completely black, but we're gonna do that. So the time is, whatever the time is now, I'm gonna set a timer for about 15 minutes, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do the second layer. I think I didn't get that much over there, but that's it. Second layer coming up. All right, let's do coat number 2. Again, very light coat. Make sure it's pointing. Test spray. Okay. This time I tried to get some of the areas that I know I didn't cover very well the first time. Maybe a slightly thicker. So here I try to hit it with different angles. What you want to avoid is what I just did right there. That could potentially drip. So you just don't want to do it that strong in one area. That's it. Coat 2. Coming along. All right, layer 3. It's actually been about an hour. I had a meeting, but layer 3 is coming up. So Plastidip is still warm. Test. Now I'm going to try a different angle a little bit to try to make sure I get every uh-oh, I'm doing too much. I hope that doesn't drip. Oh, it's dripping there already. I may have to redo that part, which is really frustrating. Oh, see it right there? Let's see. Hopefully it flattens out. If not, then I'm gonna have to do this little centerpiece all over again. The only thing I can think of is try to dab it and see what happens. Potentially gonna mess this all up. Oh, we'll see what it looks like when it's done. This is why you don't do thick layers. All right, last coat. Make this one count. All right. So now we will give it about 10 minutes and I'm gonna come back with the glossifier. I'll show you how I apply the glossifier because I do want it to be glossy, similar to what I see down there. The Plastidip is actually still pretty glossy. It hasn't completely dried up, but I think the key that I found with glossifier is doing a very thin layer while the Plastidip is still drying on the last layer. So what I'll do is I'll just go in. So this stuff sprays really wide, so you want to be very conservative with this and come back and do a second layer later to even it out after it completely dries out. That should be good for now. I'll come back and do a second layer, try to get some of the outside edges. This stuff does goop up really quickly, so don't do thick layers of this anywhere because it will cause dripping and then you're gonna have to redo the whole thing. So, but yeah, so that's layer one of the glossifier. I'm gonna do the second layer. It won't be quite as glossy, but it'll definitely be better than flat. Okay, last layer of gloss, looking pretty good. Okay, let's get rid of this plastic. Make sure this one's recording. Yep. So I usually try to get the outer stuff first. Not the best job. I've got a lot of Plastidip overage over here. But as you can see, it just comes right off, and I'm probably gonna use something else to clean this up. But a couple of spots need to be redone, but overall the black looks significantly better. I like it. Dig it. But yeah, let's pull this thing out and take a look at it from far away. It needs to be cleaned so bad. I can't tell what's overspray or what's just dirt. But I love it so much more than I liked the silver. Really looks a little bit better, quite a bit better. And I think the wheels will set it off. But yeah, you can see it's got a little bit of gloss. Those are the two mess ups. I'll redo those. A couple other little sections that need to be redone. I shouldn't have torn it off the way I did, but I did. So I will fix the little tiny little pieces that I think need some work, but overall much better looking than I expected, so love it.